Onwards and forwards. We are starting with chapter 4. And a quote: "Travel south until your butter melts, then turn right." That's how an old British man described how to get to New World. February 1607. My soul nearly left my body last night. I felt it, slippery and shimmery inside a shell of my own body, trying to slide out through the top of my head, but Reverend Hunt came and laid his hands on my brow to keep my soul from leaving and prayed for me to recover, and today my fever has broken. I am still in my body, still aboard the Susan Constant, bound for the New World. We are finally sailing. I feel the speed of the ship underneath me. We have left England's waters and we're heading south toward the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa. Captain Newport says our route will be like a big circle, following the winds and currents. We'll sail south to the Canaries and then west to the West Indies and north to Virginia. To go back to England, if I ever do, we will sail still farther north and then east to England to finish the circle. Captain Newport says the fevers gripped us because we stayed so long in the fog and cold of England's winter. Now it is warmer every day. If my soul had gone out of my body, I would have left the rolling ship, the stench and the closed-up tween-deck, the rats that sometimes scuttle over my face in the night. I would have left this living shoulder to shoulder with a crowd of gentlemen, each of them thinking that he is better than the rest, and all of them think that they are better than me. But I also have left the chance to see the islands, and then beyond them, Virginia. I have left my chance to dig from gold. So, if it hadn't been for Reverend Hunt and his big, meaty, soul-blocking hands last night, I would have joined my mother in heaven, or my father in hell, and missed the whole exciting adventure of it. I pulled on my slops and tied them at my knees and my waist. I am so skinny now that they nearly fall off. Wow, how long was I sick? 10 days? 2 weeks? I wobble on unsteady legs. Air. That's what I need. Fresh air. Somebody throws open the hatch, and this is my chance. I pick up a slop bucket, a bathroom bucket, my ticket to the ship's deck. I start up the ladder, carrying the slop bucket carefully. I glance down into it. Human poop and vomit sloshing together. Bad idea. I felt woozy and almost about to lose my balance, but I tell myself, look up. And I do. And in a moment, my head is out of the hatch, and I am looking at this violet blue sky with wispy pink clouds. Sunrise at sea. Look what the cat dragged in, a sailor calls. He's pulling on a thick line and looking down at me from a foredeck. Haven't seen this one in weeks. Thought maybe you died. Stinks bad enough down there, says another soldier. Could be a few dead ones lying underneath the ale barrels, and no one would even know. The sailors laugh, but I don't care. I stand, breathing in the clear, fresh air. I go to the railing, throw open the contents of the bucket overboard, and then stop in utter astonishment. I stare, unbelieving. The ocean, which is just a few weeks ago in England was an usual black-green, has completely changed. I am looking at an ocean so clear and so blue that when a long silver fish comes to inspect what I have just tossed in, I can see the yellow stripes on its back. I linger, feeling the wind on my face, and the sails are bellied out orange gold in the early morning sunlight. I feel very glad that I didn't leave this adventure last night. Below with you, a sailor yells to me. You'll be getting underfoot up there. I want to tell him that I'm waiting for the mess pot for the servants, the one that James and Richard and I share with the other two men who serve Master Wingfield, but I'm not sure I can make it down the ladder with the heavy pot of oatmeal, so I'll wait till I'm stronger before I do that chore. Captain Newport comes strutting towards me. He has a scowl on his face, and I'm afraid he's about to whip me for standing on deck. I scramble down the ladder, a bucket in hand. Captain Newport follows me and swings his down the ladder easily, even with only one arm. I head to a dark corner, hoping he won't see me, but he's not after me. Smith! Captain Newport's baritone voice fills the 'tween deck, and two burly sailors come down this ladder and stand on either side of him. Sir, Captain Smith responds and stands straight up. Captain Newport looks angry, though I'm not sure it's Captain Smith he's angry with. By my authority as captain of this fleet, I hereby put you under arrest. Captain Smith frowns. On what charge? He demands. He stares right at Master Wingfield as he says it, so I suspect he knows who has accused him of this crime. Captain Newport looks at Master Wingfield with a look of disgust. I will present the charges, said Master Wingfield. Somehow, despite the fact that we have been at sea for nearly 2 months, his silk doublet and velvet pants still look fresh. You are under arrest for intent to overthrow the government of this mission, murder the council members, and make yourself ruler. My mouth drops open. Wingfield, you're a liar, Captain Smith growls, and you, sir, will be hanged when we go to the West Indies, said Master Wingfield. Captain Smith sputters, but no words came to him, and his face and neck are red as fire. He reels back, and I see him ball up his fist. He's about to throw a punch. Yes, I want to shout. Smash his face in. This will be even better than watching boys or drunken sailors slug it out. I want to see the spurt of Master Wingfield's high-ranking nose. But in a split second before Captain Smith lets out his fist as if something reins him in, he hunches his shoulders, opens his hands, takes a breath, and turns to Captain Newport and speaks calmly. Captain, do you believe these charges which have been brought against me? He asked. Captain Newport looked startled, as if he didn't expect this question. I cannot leave a suspected traitor unshackled, he says. And what if I accuse Master Wingfield of being a traitor? Captain Smith asked. After all, it was he who wanted to turn back when we were stranded all those weeks at the Downs. It is he and his gentleman friends who wanted to go back to England to their comforts every time there's a storm. He said the word gentleman is like it's a pile of poop in the kitchen, and this makes me smile. This is how they treat their signed 7-year contracts with the Virginia's Company. You have no right to accuse me, Master Wingfield shouts. You're a commoner. You cannot level charges against your betters. My betters, Captain Smith raises a brow. A pig has more royal blood than you do. The sound Master Wingfield makes next is a cross between a growl and a shout. Insulting his bloodline is like throwing poison in his face. He draws his dagger and comes at Captain Smith, and for a moment all is confusion. Reverend Hunt catches Master Wingfield's arm. 2 sailors step out between the angry men. Captain Newport's voice booms out, Release your weapon! Let the law handle this. Then he orders the sailors, Nelson, Poole, put Smith in iron chains. The 2 sailors hustle Captain Smith over and chain him and stand ready, fastened to the wall of the 'tween deck, ready to restrain a prisoner or any drunken sailor who tries to start a fight. They clamp Captain Smith's ankles and wrists into chains. I can't believe Captain Newport is doing this. Now Master Wingfield will simply walk all over and slit his throat. But when I look back at Master Wingfield, I see he is pale and shaken. He has dropped his dagger and is wiping his face with his handkerchief. Reverend Hunt has his hand on his shoulder and is talking to him quietly. Master Wingfield might be a liar, but he is no murderer. Still, I have heard the gentlemen whispering. In the close quarters of the 'tween deck, it's hard to miss much. They say Captain Smith is only an ignorant commoner, and yet he wants the power of a noble. They say he will try and take over the whole mission if he is not disposed of. They say if it were not for Captain Smith insulting that they could stay the course, they would be back in their comfortable homes in England by now. And I wonder how long it will be before someone else, someone who does not have the heart of a murderer, slits Captain Smith's throat while he sleeps. Chapter 5. We anchored at Domingo, a fair island inhabited by many savage Indians. They are continually in wars and will eat their enemies when they kill them or any stranger that they take down. Quote from Master Percy. Every sound wakes me. I crane my neck. Is this the night someone will murder Captain Smith? But every time it is only one of the men groaning in his sleep or throwing up, one of the poor souls who has not yet gotten over the seasickness. And if so, Captain Smith is still alive. We anchor at one of the Canary Islands, Gran Canaria. I steal a chance to go on deck and have my first sign of land in many weeks. Huge gray mountains, steep and rocky, rise up in the clouds. A few of the sailors go ashore in the longboats to fill our barrels with fresh water, and we are on our way, riding the trade winds west towards the West Indies and the Caribbean. Captain Smith is still in chains, though they have freed his wrists and only his ankles remain shackled. When I bring him in the morning wash water, he is writing. I glance at the page, but then quickly look away. I don't want to be caught being nosy. He washes his face, takes off his shirt, and washes under his arms, and I hand him a cloth to dry with. When he is dressed again, he looks at me hard. Reverend Hunt says, Can you read? It is a cross between a question and a statement. I nod. My answer. He tells me your mother taught you, but your mother was a commoner, a peasant, right? Yes, sir. Can you tell me how she learned to read? She was taught by a friend, sir. It was the son of a gentleman landlord. I don't tell him that he also gave her the silver locket when she turned 13, or how, when their friendship was discovered, he was sent away to France. I see, he says, and he goes back to writing. I wonder how Captain Smith can be so peaceful while he's locked up like this. Since the moment when he nearly punched Master Wingfield, the moment when he reined his anger in, Captain Smith has been calm. That first day he had me bring him his paper, quill, and ink. When Julius Caesar was put in prison, he wrote, he said, so I shall do the same. He has been writing ever since, the story of our journey, and as he writes, he remains calm. The whisperings have changed. Now they say that Master Wingfield and some of the other gentlemen made up those charges. They say that gentlemen hate Captain Smith because he's a commoner who has no special respect for nobles. They say you can't hang a man just because he doesn't respect you. In a strange way, even though he's a prisoner, Captain Smith seems to be winning the battle. James and Richard come down the ladder, talking the whole way. Richard is carrying the oatmeal pot for our mess, and James has a slop bucket he has just emptied. Captain Smith doesn't need me anymore, so I hurry towards the steaming pot of oatmeal. I have to eat fast to get enough. We servants are always served last, and when the food is running out, Master Wingfield's servants, Henry and Abram, are big, greedy men who empty our mess pots into 2 gulps if we don't get a head start. I grab my spoon and dig in. Yes, that's what he said, Richard is saying. They don't wear any clothes at all. They just paint themselves different colors. The sailor said he heard it from a French sailor who has already been to the New World. What else, James says. The women make cuts and burns on their faces and bodies to make pictures on them. Then they put colored dyes in cuts and burns. They think it makes them look pretty. I snicker and nearly spit out my oatmeal. Richard gives me an annoyed glance. He said that the men have hair a yard long on one side of their head, and the hair is shaved close on the other, and they decorate their hair. One of their favorite decorations is they cut off the hand of one of their enemies and dry it in the sun, and tied the dried hand to their hair. Henry and Abram join us. Henry is broad, fleshy, and always enjoys an opportunity to smack one of us boys. Abram has hair the color of carrots and one eye that wanders everywhere except where he's looking. When they sit down to eat, James and Richard are silent for a while as they shovel oatmeal in their mouths. There is a plate with 5 chunks of moldy cheese on it. I go to grab the largest chunk, but Henry slaps my hand away and takes it for himself. I want to slap him back, but he is 3 times my size and could easily throw me against a wall in one swipe. I grab a smaller piece of cheese and stuff it in my mouth, green mold and all. They also said there will be Carib Indians on the islands of the West Indies, Richard says. They said that the Caribs chop people up and cook and put them in cook pots to eat them. Now James looks pale and terrified. Oh, Henry, don't worry. Henry snorts. Don't worry, lad. They don't want you. You're too skinny and snotty for their taste. He slaps James on the back hard enough to hurt, and then he and Abram go off to their card game with the other common men. What else did you hear? I mock Richard in a sing-song voice. I can hardly believe he's so gullible that the sailors are able to fool him like this. It's true, you know, Richard says. I heard the sailors talking. I heard it with my own ears. James nods, his eyes wide and scared. You are dunces, both of you, believing that rot, I say. Don't you think the sailors knew you were listening? Don't you think they're up there right now laughing their heads off about that stupid boy who was eavesdropping and believed all their lies? Richard and James exchange a look. You think they were lying, Samuel? James asked me hopefully. I think that you're an idiot, I say. Those sailors are playing games with you. They're almost as bored up there as we are down here. I look at Richard. Do you really think a woman would make cuts and burns on her face to make herself look beautiful? Richard frowns, then shakes his head. Then stop talking about it, I say. Moments later, we hear the call. Land ho! Richard grabs the empty oatmeal pot, but I yank it out of his hands. Hey, that's my job, he shouts. I brought it down. It's my job now, I say. I run to the ladder with the pot. No way am I going to let this chance slip by. Up on deck, I squint in the dazzling sun. The sails billow bright white against a blue sky. The breeze is warm. I go to the railing and search the horizon. There it is, a green bump in the distance, in the midst of the jewel blue sea. The first of the Carib Indians. I give a pot to the cook and linger, breathing in the sweet air, marveling at the brightness of it all. Richard comes up on the deck, and James too, and several of the gentlemen, until the first mate calls halt. He drives us all back down below, threatening to beat us boys with an oar if we don't hurry. The 'tween deck is abuzz with gentlemen and commoners both, wondering what this land sighting means. Will we finally be allowed off the stinking ship? They better at least get a fresh water. What we have left smells like a sick dog. I want fresh meat. I will demand that I be let off to hunt. When the shouting begins up on deck, we all fall silent. God save us, they're coming! Look, they're monsters! Captain Newport, permission to man the gun, sir. James and Richard both look at me as if I have the answer. I decide I'd rather be beaten with an oar than sit in the dark 'tween deck waiting to be devoured by sea monsters, so I scramble up on deck. We're in shallow water now, and the sea is translucent blue. Moving swiftly across the crystal water are several canoes. In the canoes are very creatures conjured up by Richard's stories. They are naked, their skin painted red. The women's faces and arms are tattooed with patterns. The men's hair is long with beads and bones. Human bones? I hope not. But they're hanging in decoration. They are coming quickly towards our ship. I catch my breath, and I expect to hear the scrape of the cannons being loaded, but instead I hear Captain Newport's voice. "We are not Spanish barbarians. We will not slaughter these people unless they attack first. Get Smith, now!" Two sailors swung down the 'tween deck, and there is the clanking of chains as they unlock Captain Smith's irons. Captain Smith emerges from the 'tween deck. He stands on the deck watching as the approaching canoes. His back is straight, his chest puffed out. He does not look afraid, but determined. A tall man stands in one of the canoes. He is naked except for a ring of bones around his neck. He raises his hand, and Captain Smith does the same. Captain Smith begins speaking strange words and using hand motions to communicate. I easily understand the hand motions. We come in peace. We desire trade. He dangles several strings of sparkling beads. We need food. He rubs his tummy. The man in the canoe stoops and picks up something that looks like a large pine cone with spiky green shoots coming out of one end. He pretends to take a bite of it, and I breathe a sigh of relief. He has understood. After all, the natives come back and forth to our canoe and bringing sweet-smelling fruits and other food from their islands which sit green and lush nearby. The large pine cone with spiky leaves turns out to be called a pineapple and tastes like food for a king. The cook names the other things they bring: mangoes, papayas, plantains, potatoes, tobacco. In return, we give them knives, hatchets, beads, and copper, and they are happy. I have seen that Captain Smith's ankles are raw from the rubbing of irons. That evening I asked the cook for some tallow and bring it to him, sir. Bring it to him. "Are you free, sir?" I asked. "I seem to be for now," he said. He grimaces as he rubs the tallow, the lotion. The sores on his ankles are cracked and oozing. Quietly I say, "How did you know the language of those natives?" He smiles. "Every man speaks the language of greeting, of trade, of hunger. I just spoke with my hands." I nod. "But you were speaking. But the words, what were you saying?" He speaks the words. He shakes his head and whispers. "Those are Algonquin words, a language spoken in Virginia by the natives. Roanoke settlers brought back word lists, and I have studied them. Let Newport and the others think they need me as a translator. It's too hot for those chains. I have one more question, but I'm not sure if I want to know the answer." I take a deep breath and blurt it out. "Do the Caribbeans chop people up for their cook pots and eat them?" He stops rubbing his ankle and looks at me dead in the eye. "Only if they catch them," he says.